So those would be in your budget book. Those are, the 100s and 200s in your budget book are on pages 40, 41, and 42. I think we hit upon a lot of them tonight because primarily when you're talking about the 100s, you're talking about all the salaried positions. So you're talking about the administrative positions, the teacher positions, the para positions, and all of that. I tried to articulate exactly what the numbers are, what the positions are, and any changes or information in there. The 200s are around your benefits, and those are also listed in here, and I don't know if you had any questions around those.
I'm sure Mrs. Wilson has a question, so we can go in this direction. And you can certainly ask questions tonight, and there we will have more meetings, and just because they're covering other things, you can go back to these, and certainly Dr. Law appreciates the earliest notice you can give her with any questions on anything. So if you come back and have questions, but Mrs. Wilson, why don't we mix things up and go in that direction?
I kind of started that conversation last time we met, but I had a question about the technology positions. Are they included in the 100, 200s, the shifting and the reorganization? Yes. I just want to hear more about what that's going to look like in terms of, are you going to be able to cover all of the things that you currently cover with this change in the data analytics initiative? And what is the, I'd like to hear more, what is the data analytics going to be used for? Sure. What are you going after? Is it a specific kind of initiative?
Can I get back to you about that at the next
that's
meeting?
fine.
To be able to bring you specific details?
That
sure.
People who do data analytics tend to be database administrators and people like that, and assessment, and versus people who are doing network security. And I kind of want to see really, tease that out a little bit for me, so we know that we are going to be keeping our technology safe, secure, yes, and supported adequately.
I have sample job descriptions for all three of those positions, okay, so I can bring those along with some more detail around all of that moving forward.
Okay. Ms. DiMaria? Okay. Mr. Shada?
Nothing at this time.
Ms. Ruffler? Ms. Shea?
I'm good.
Mr. Castanier? Mr. Helsbaugh?
This has been a tremendous meeting. Thank you. It's been well organized. Thank you very much.
Mr. Tremont?
No, I have no.
Okay, that brings us to public comments. Please state the name and your name and the town that you are from, please.
Excuse me, Board Chair, can I ask a request of the board moving forward?
You can ask.
Please. I would like to, so that we have a plan in place for the object items that we're going to look at in the next two meetings. So for the February 5th meeting, I'd like to focus on pages 43 to 46 in your budget book. And for the February 12th meeting, pages 47 to 49, if you have specific questions around things on those pages.
Would you have other people presenting with you?
So on those dates, I'll be talking to the department coordinators on Wednesday at FACT, and dividing up between those 2 dates those department coordinators as well. Mm-hmm. But that will be a separate part of the budget meeting and the budget workshop. But as far as looking at the actual objects, mm-hmm, and making sure that we know we've had a chance to clearly go over each of those sections, if we could break it out in that way so we're kind of prepared and focusing just on smaller chunks moving forward, that like we did tonight with the 100s and 200s.
So that's what I had written down. What do you got? Take.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion for that. I mean, I think
no, just in helping to plan forward that.
You've informed, why don't you, if you don't mind, people are tired at this point, why don't you just send an email as well on that? That would be perfect. Thank you.
So
okay.
Kevin, you said you're talking to them. Does that mean you're bringing them to the meeting?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So that's the 43.
I'll ask them to talk about their program parts of their budgets.
Okay. So 43 through 46 is February 5th?
Yep. And 47 through 49 is February 12th.
Okay.
And then we'll have other things on there as well, hopefully the SGH contract and the department coordinators.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think you're right. Is the 12th the non-school day?
No, it's the following one, I'm pretty sure.
Speaking of contracts, I do have one
It
more
is.
question.
It is the 19th.
Okay, that's fine.
The transportation grant project, have we received anything from the state relative to?
So the last update I gave you was in the weekly update. There were 2 things that the state wanted resolved as far as paperwork goes. Those have been resolved and we're still waiting here.
Okay, that brings us to public comments. Please state your name and your address when you give your public comment. Yes?
Siobhan Payne, 23 Lakers Drive, Marlborough, Connecticut. While I love Carrie Bell, I have to applaud the creation of a Pupil Personnel Services Supervisor position. I have to say it's a long time coming. I don't know of any other school district that runs their special ed department like RHAM has done. In most districts, the special ed director has at least 1 supervisor per school working with that director. As you know, RHAM hired a number of special ed directors, I think it was about 3, in the course of what, 2.5 years? Was it 5?
5 and 5 years.
Okay. Prior to hiring Jennifer Hoffman, I would like to keep Jennifer Hoffman. I think one of those hired refused to start the job once hearing that there were no supervisors of special ed at RHAM. Our special ed director has a very difficult job trying to improve special ed programming if she has to be out of district 4 to 6 times a month and be ultimately responsible for hundreds of PPTs in the middle and the high school, especially as our number of special ed students increase. So as the parent of a child who receives special education services at RHAM, I've found many, but not all, regular ed teachers are as welcoming of my child in their classroom. I think that with the creation of a Pupil Personnel Services Supervisor, the director will have more time to address inclusion, among other cost-effective measures and programs for special education. It's direly needed. And I do agree. I think Carrie Ann Bell, her position as assistant principal is so important, but this is more important. And I wish there was the funding to do both, but I think the board really needs to think about RHAM has kind of hit this wall, and if we're going to keep a great special ed director, this has to happen. So thank you.
Okay, public comments. Please state your name and town you're from. Yes.
I'm Dick Shea, from Marlborough, member of the Board of Selectmen. Speaking as an individual, I just want to thank you for bringing the RHAM Roadshow to Marlborough. It was quite a performance. I've been to an awful lot of Board of Education meetings, both local and regional, which maybe doesn't say much about my social life, but I have to say that this one has been extraordinarily productive. I think I've never seen so much exchange of ideas, and that's driven by a quantity of valuable and detailed information that's presented in a logical format, which is another thing that is kind of rare when you get into public meetings generally. So I hope the next one is as good, although if it's going to be in Andover or Hebron, maybe it won't be. We'll see. We'll see. And I hope we get the attendance up. I was afraid I'd be the only one here tonight. Obviously, that wasn't a problem at all. But I appreciate everybody's input. Everybody seems to have an open mind. It's going to be a tough year, but I'm encouraged. Thank you.
Okay, public comments. Your name and town, please.
Richard Jacobson, Hebron. I'd just like to make a request that the information that is passed out, whether it's through email or whatever, that made available to the public on the RHAM website.
It's already
It's on the website.
the PowerPoint.
I mean, all the
Yes, the other 2 I'm loading.
and the special ed budgets that you passed out and all that information.
Thank you. Well,
Ethan Spinelli, 22 Rivendell Road. Thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it. Again, great conversation as mentioned earlier. A couple things that just came to mind as I was sitting here. I think what Dr. Law brings to the district is refreshing. We need somebody with an outside perspective to take a look at the needs of RAM. But please don't discount the people that have been at RAM for a long time. They do also have perspective. So I think it was wise I think the board chair mentioned getting all input from the faculty and administrators at RAM, and the people that have been there a long time do have some valuable perspective as well. So I appreciate that part of the conversation. I heard about reductions in force being tough, like in the business world. I'm proud that I don't work in a profession that runs like the business world. We aren't producing machines. I don't go to work every day to make a profit for a stakeholder, for a board of directors. Our job is to produce citizens that can go out into the world, that can be happy and find a passion, hopefully, in their life. And we do that through RAM, through the administrators and the teachers. We don't build robots, we build people. It's a personal business. It's always about people. And we need to be sensitive when we talk about reduction in force. Sensitive to people that work and live in our community members. That's the last thing we have in society, a community based around our schools. And we need to be very sensitive about that. I do want to remind the board again, I know I've said this before, declining enrollment does not mean less issues in the school. Declining enrollment just means there's less students, but it only takes 1 or 2 students to throw a monkey wrench into all of our day. And it's not just students, there's families that have serious needs in this community that can easily take up an entire day for our teachers and administrators. If you go to the teachers' lounge at RAM, it's empty because teachers and administrators don't have time to lounge around at RAM. I said this last year, nobody is hanging out at RAM by the water cooler, as maybe in the business world, where people hang out and chat about the events over the weekend. We just don't do that. That's not how this operates. I know the board's worried about the perception of special education. I think we do need to be sensitive. We don't want people to think that our budget problems are solely based on special education. But when I looked at the slides tonight, we're looking at restructuring administration as a result of needs in special education. I agree with the other public comment. RAM has a serious problem in the way we function in terms of special education. And I did say last year, we need to invest in a full-time special ed assistant director. I don't think we can put half positions together and expect 100% efficiency. I just don't think it's going to work. I know we're looking to reduce and cut, but I think we need to go to the towns and be realistic. This is what RAM needs. We can't be afraid to say to the 3 towns, RAM needs more help in the special ed department. Instead of taking away from others, we need to look to increase to get the special ed the help they need, more supervision, more oversight, so that we can be more effective in what we provide for the special education students without affecting the rest of the population. In terms of budget, I know I'm going long, it's become commonplace to have a frozen budget throughout the year. That worries me. I have been at RAM a long time. I'm trying to think of a year when the budget hasn't been frozen. That should be concerning. A frozen budget means maybe we're not budgeting well enough as a board and as a community. And it's happening earlier and earlier. Now it's like October, end of September. That's concerning to me as a taxpayer and a parent that has children that are at RAM. What are we doing that we can't afford the basic needs of all the students when it comes to cutting, supplies, classroom materials? You know how much it costs for tissues for 100 kids during cold and flu season? Comes out of the teacher's pocket. It's funny, but it's true. I even buy the ones like sandpaper so they don't use it. And it's like candy to them. But every time, that's what we do. We pick up the slack and we move forward because we're not producing machines, we're producing kids. So please be aware that there's a lot of issues here, and I think more conversation is needed. Thank you.